The night the sky split open above the salt flats, Arjun Rao thought the desert was finally claiming him. He had been stationed at K-17 listening post for 11 months, a forgotten outcrop where satellites whispered and humans did not. The job was simple: monitor anomalies, report nothing unless it was impossible to ignore. When the stars bent inward like glass under pressure and a wound of blue fire tore itself across the heavens, Arjun dropped his mug and forgot how to breathe. Something fell. It didn't burn like a meteor. It slowed, shuddered, corrected itself, as if wounded but alive. The object struck the flats 10 kilometers out, sending a silent pulse through the sand. Arjun's console screamed belatedly. He didn't wait for orders. He grabbed the rover and drove. The crash site smelled of ozone and wet iron. The object lay half-buried, not a ship so much as a shell, petaled, organic, folded in on itself. At its center, cradled by translucent membranes, was a figure. She was taller than any human woman, willowy, her skin a pale opalescence that shimmered with faint circuitry beneath. Blood, if it was blood, ran dark and viscous from a gash at her side. Her eyes fluttered open as Arjun approached, pupils dilating in unfamiliar patterns. "Don't move," he whispered, the useless words tumbling out anyway. She spoke a single sound that was not a word, but a chord. Arjun felt it vibrate behind his eyes. Then she collapsed. Arjun broke protocol in a dozen ways. He cut the membrane with a plasma knife, lifted her with shaking arms, and dragged her into the rover. Her skin was cool, almost cold. The wound at her side pulsed weakly, edges refusing to knit. He drove back through the dark, heart pounding, mind racing with the consequences he would face if she died, or if she lived. In the medical bay, nothing worked. Human coagulants failed. Nanites recoiled as if poisoned. Her vital signs, translated by the station's adaptive AI, faded in slow, terrifying increments. Arjun watched the numbers fall and felt something ancient and irrational claw its way up his throat. He had no plan, no authority, and no time. "AI," he said hoarsely, "cross-reference alien biochemistry with known compatibilities." A pause. "Probability of success negligible," the AI replied. "However, hypothesis, catalytic binding may be possible through direct biological donation." "Meaning?" "Your blood," the AI said. "Introduced in controlled quantities." Arjun stared at the alien princess, because some instinct told him that was what she was, and then at his own hands. The thought was absurd, dangerous, possibly lethal to them both. He didn't hesitate. The needle slid into his arm. His blood flowed through sterile tubing, warmed and filtered, then introduced into her bloodstream. For a moment, nothing happened. Then she gasped. Her body arched as light flared beneath her skin, tracing veins in radiant lines. The wound at her side convulsed, sealing with a sound like whispered glass. The monitor spiked, then steadied. Arjun sagged into a chair, dizzy, laughing softly in disbelief. She lived. She woke hours later. Arjun sat beside the bed, exhaustion pressing his bones hollow. When her eyes opened, they were clearer now, deep, luminous, reflecting him back with unsettling precision. "You gave," she said, in careful, accented English. "Your essence." He blinked. "You speak English?" "I speak intention," she replied. "Your systems translate." She studied him, head tilting. "I am Serelith of House Valor, crown bearer of the 13th spiral." Arjun swallowed. "I'm Arjun. I work here." Her gaze dropped to the faint puncture mark on his arm. Her expression shifted, not to gratitude, but to something heavier. "You bound us," she said softly. "I saved your life," he said. No binding intended. In my people's law, Sarilith replied, life preserved by blood is a vow. You have made yourself significant. Arjun laughed weakly. That's not how it works for us. Nevertheless, she said, and reached for his hand. When her fingers closed around his, the station lights dimmed. Arjun felt a warmth spread up his arm, not painful, but profound, like a door opening inside his chest. Images flooded him, a world of spiraled cities and living light, a throne encircled by stars, betrayal in silver armor, and Sarilith falling through fire as her ship was torn apart. He gasped, pulling back. What did you do? I shared truth, she said. The bond allows it. Over the days that followed, Arjun learned the cost of his decision. Sarilith healed fully, but the bond remained. They could sense each other's presence, emotions bleeding through in subtle currents. When she was afraid, his heart raced. When he was angry, her skin glowed brighter. She told him of the coup that had shattered her empire, how her uncle had poisoned the council and turned the fleet against her. She had fled to the outer dark, pursued, wounded, certain of death until Earth's gravity had caught her broken ship like a net. I cannot return alone, she said one night, standing by the observation window. The throne requires a bound consort to legitimize rule after bloodfall. Arjun stiffened. A consort? Not as you imagine, she said gently. A living seal. A witness who shares the vow. You're saying, he said slowly, that because I saved you, your people would accept me? They would have no choice, Sarilith said. The bond is recognized across species. The military arrived before Arjun could process that. Black ships cut through the sky. Men and women with cold eyes filled the station, weapons trained, voices clipped. They demanded Sarilith. They demanded explanations. Sarilith stepped forward, luminous and unafraid. I am under vow, she said. Harm me, and the bond retaliates. They laughed, until the lights shattered and the air screamed. Arjun felt it then, the bond responding, drawing on him as much as her. Fear sharpened into resolve. He stood beside her, hand in hers, and the room steadied. Negotiations followed. Earth wanted technology. Alliances. Control. Sarilith offered none of it. I will return to claim my throne, she said. And when I do, I will remember who honored the vow and who threatened it. They let her go. The ship that took them was not like the one that had fallen. It sang as it moved, responding to Sarilith's thoughts, and to Arjun's, tentatively, like a creature testing a new rider. Space unfolded. On the journey, the bond deepened. Not romance in the human sense, but intimacy, shared memories, shared silence, the slow alignment of two beings who had never been meant to meet. Arjun saw her loneliness, the weight of a crown she had never wanted. Sarilith felt his doubt, his fear of becoming something less human by choosing her world over his own. You can return, she told him as the spiral came into view, a galaxy braided into architecture. The vow does not compel you. Beyond this. He looked at the stars and thought of the desert, the station, the quiet life that had already ended the night the sky split open. If I leave, he said, what happens to you? I will rule, she said, but always incomplete. Arjun took her hand. The coronation was not a ceremony so much as a reckoning. The spiral gathered, beings of light and form and thought, watching as Sarilith stepped into the living throne. Her uncle stood accused, defiant, power crackling around him. He is unbound, the council intoned. His claim is void. Sarilith raised her chin. Then witness my vow. She cut her palm, not with a blade, but with will, and Arjun felt the echo, a sharp heat answered by his own blood rising unbidden. Their blood met, luminous, spiraling into the throne. The spiral roared. The bond flared, no longer just survival but choice, sealing Saralith's claim. Her uncle screamed as the throne rejected him, casting him into exile beyond the stars. When it was done, Saralith stood crowned, radiant, and turned to Arjun. "You are bound," she said before all, "not as subject, but as equal witness. Will you remain?" Arjun looked out at the impossible city, felt the bond steady and warm, not a chain, but a bridge. "Yes," he said, "I will." Years passed differently in the spiral. Arjun learned their ways, their sciences, their patience. He became something new, not alien, not entirely human, but a living testament to a vow born of desperation and choice. And sometimes, when the throne room was quiet and the stars turned slowly beyond the living walls, Saralith would take his hand and say, softly, "You saved me with your blood." He would smile and answer, "No, we survived each other." That was the ending the universe wrote for them, not of conquest or surrender, but of two lives bound across stars, choosing, every day, to stand together,